I just entertained about 200 students across 5 classrooms during Read Across America Week, and it turned out to be one of my most profitable author visits yet. Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who may be new to my channel, my name is Alexandria Williams Hall. I am a children's book author, murder mystery novelist, and creative entrepreneur. Recently, I was invited to visit a local school here in my area during Read Across America Week, and Read Across America Week is one of the most fun times as a local author because the students are already super excited and engaged. They are celebrating Dr. Seuss's birthday, sharing their love of reading, and the teachers are always including some really fun activities to encourage the students to read more. But other than that, this author visit was very different because I was invited to speak to not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 classrooms. That made for a very fun day for an author visit. By the end of my author visit, I had spoken to nearly 200 students and little readers in one visit. It was a super fun day and a super fun experience and different opportunity to speak with each of the different classrooms, but by classroom number 3, I was getting pretty dog-tired. And as I went from classroom to classroom, it made me realize that not many authors are talking about how they keep up their energy for each classroom as they go from one room to the next. And keeping up your energy and keeping the students engaged while you're visiting is arguably one of the most important skills that authors should develop if they intend to do author visits. Because every classroom deserves the same experience and energy, and every student deserves you at your best. And you never know which student you're going to encounter that may find your work as an author to be inspiring. So today I'm going to give you my top 5 points of what I do now every time I do an author visit and how I keep my energy up, and especially how to keep large groups of students engaged during your entire author visit. And also, you're going to want to wait till the end of this video because I will go in depth into why this one author visit became my most profitable author visit to this point in my author career. Here is a video from behind the scenes at my author visit during Read Across America Week. Overall, my author visit during Read Across America Week was an absolutely unforgettable and fantastic experience. Getting the chance to talk about writing, reading, books, and encouraging their creativity, there's truly nothing like it in this whole world. The school had completely decked out their hallways and their classrooms and decorated all of their classroom doors with different decorations and festivities to celebrate Read Across America Week, and they absolutely took my breath away when I came across my own flyer in the hallway. They had almost made this adorable flyer that explained what we were going to be doing in today's author visit and what my books were about. It was absolutely magical. It made my whole day. Let's start with point 1, reset your energy every time you enter a classroom. In my experience for author visits, one thing that has really proven to be beneficial for me is before I enter any of the classrooms, I will take a few seconds to myself and reset my energy. And let's say you are doing your presentation as an author for multiple classrooms in one day. You've already done your storytime presentation maybe 4 times. Well, that 5th classroom is going to be experiencing you as the author and your storytime presentation for the very first time. So it's a very healthy and good practice to remind yourself. It's as simple as taking a step back and taking in a few deep breaths. This can be a game changer before walking into that classroom. Giving yourself a few seconds to just refresh and reset your mind, it will completely reset your energy, your aura, and your overall enthusiasm and let you walk into that next classroom with confidence. Point number 2, start with something that immediately gets their attention. Another tactic that's been proven successful in my experience as an author, especially when I'm entertaining multiple classrooms of students, it's to always have a strong opener to my presentation. If you've been invited to present your storytime presentation to children maybe ages kindergarten to third grade level, they're going to decide pretty quickly if they are interested in what you have to say. And let's face it, sometimes the classrooms that you walk into and give your presentation, it's going to feel like you're playing ping pong with a really great opponent. You're going to have conversation back and forth and questions and answers, and the energy is going to be great. Other times, it's going to feel like you're playing ping pong with a curtain. So here are a few ways I've come up with to help keep the energy up and start your presentation off strong. The first option could be ask them a question. Students absolutely love to be a part of your presentation and to feel like they're helping you in learning the lesson they're trying to learn. And speaking of interaction, the next thing you can do is have your students raise their hands. Maybe ask them a series of questions and get them involved in the process. A third option could be sharing a quick and upbeat story or share something that's surprising about being an author. Maybe it's a fun fact about you as the author or your experience in writing the book. When students feel a part of the conversation, the entire room immediately becomes more engaged. That brings us to point 3, make it interactive. If you're an author and you know you're about to do an author visit where you are trying to engage hundreds of students across multiple classrooms, interaction is your best friend. Instead of just talking the entire time during your presentation and during the story time part, maybe you involve the students in the process. You could ask about the books that they enjoy reading. Maybe they've been reading some of their favorites in their classes. Next, let them guess things about the writing process or what it's like to be an author. And then, of course, you give them insight into your life as an author and help fill in the blanks where they don't have all the answers. You could also encourage them to share ideas for books that they would want to write. Even simple interactions help the students to stay focused during the presentation and keeps them excited. We've made it to point 4, use humor in storytelling. Another helpful tactic that has helped me in my author visits is especially during my storytelling presentation or during the author Q&A portion of my visit, I like to add and sprinkle in little bits of humor in there. This can be anything from funny stories about you as the author, the writing process that you've developed, maybe some mistakes that you've made along the way that has taught you something. But of course, with a funny twist. You could also include funny ideas that didn't make it into your book. And you could also add surprising things about being an author. Sometimes the kids are going to ask me, "What's your favorite thing about being an author, Miss Alex?" And I'll say, "Coffee." "What's the coolest part about being an author, Miss Alex?" "Coffee." "What gets you excited to read and write all the time, Miss Alex?" "Coffee." Okay, I'm kidding. Kinda. I don't always say coffee. Okay, most of the time I answer their questions with legit answers. But these are the kind of questions and the kind of stories that you can tell the little readers to show them that authors are real people too. And that makes it even more fun for them because they realize we're just like them. They can be just like us. It makes it relatable. Especially if you're involving a Q&A portion to your presentation for each of the classrooms, the kids absolutely love it when an author goes deeper into detail about the writing process, maybe telling them facts about what it was like to write the book that you're going to be reading, or just details about what it's like to be an author in general, especially if you tell them a really funny story, or maybe you tell them something they didn't expect to hear. And last but not least, for points to keep us energized during our author visit is point number 5. Remember the bigger purpose. The last thing that keeps me motivated during the entire author visit experience is to remind myself why author visits exist in the first place. The goal isn't just to talk about your book. It's to get the students engaged and to remind them why they should be excited about reading, writing, and engage their own creativity. For some of these students, this may be their first time and only time to meet an author, and it shows them they can grow up and write stories for a living someday too. For me personally, when I was their age, we didn't have the pleasure of a local author coming and visiting our classrooms and giving us insight into what it's like to be an author. Instead, I was inspired by authors and stories that had been gone for a long time. So for these kids to have someone like you as an author chasing their dreams to be actually with them in their own classroom, that's pretty special. And lastly, I promised I would get to this part. I'm going to explain and give you a few tidbits on how this one author visit became my most profitable author visit in my author career thus far. As an author, especially one just starting out, it is a very smart move to have multiple revenue streams and expand your streams of income. The first way you can make profit is by having a flat rate author appearance fee. For authors who are just starting out, it is very appropriate to charge at least $100 to maybe $200 for you to show up to schools, libraries, daycares. Anytime you want to do an author visit and someone invites you to do an author visit and do story time presentations for their classrooms, it's very vital that you have an author appearance fee because your time is money too. Next, you're going to offer your books in different formats. You're going to have a hardback and a paperback version of your book. And you're going to offer this to the school saying you could have these books here available in your library for the students to enjoy, or you could even have them for each individual classroom. Next, I'd offer some form of merch that the kids would really enjoy or benefit from that ties into the story of your book. For example, my books, Gidget the Pretty Kitty Detective, I offer merch such as Junior Detective spyglasses that serve as a mini spyglass, or they also serve as a bookmark for their books. I also have the Gidget the Pretty Kitty Detective plushie and the activity books that go along with the stories. Now, if you don't do any of these options except for this last option, I arguably would say this is one of the most important things that you could do to help expand your streams of income past the author visit. What you're going to do is create free activity packets to hand out to the students after your storytime presentation. These can be made up of the coloring pages and the activity pages based off of your book. But what you're going to include with those pages is an order form sheet with a QR code that links to your website, or it can go straight to your contact information so the parents, when the kids take the packets home, can scan that QR code, get a hold of you, and order books if they want them for their own homes. This way, each of those students is taking home their activity packet to enjoy for later, and it's giving mom and dad, aunt and uncle, maybe grandma and grandpa a chance to scan that QR code and give you another potential purchase even after your author visit. If you're considering starting author visits, just remember one thing. The key isn't about having a perfect presentation. It's about making the presentation inspiring, engaging, and memorable. For those of you interested in learning more about my children's book series, Gidget the Pretty Kitty Detective, I will have links to the Amazon and my website links down in the description below. You can shop the first, second, and third book in the children's book series, as well as the activity books and all the merch that goes along with it. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to my channel for future writerly or bookish content. Until next time, my fellow writers and fellow creatives, keep your pen moving and your creativity always brewing. Bye!